evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Joanne Smedley, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Warrant Officer Jeff Banning. We warmly welcome the family of Private William Bede Doggett, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. Please stand and join in the singing of the National Anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private William Doggett. William Bede Doggett was born in about 1894 in Rydal, New South Wales, to the newly married Alfred and Mary Doggett. His father, Alfred, was a prominent Catholic in Bathurst, being a founding member of the local branch of the Holy Name Society, a member of the Society of St Vincent de Paul and the Hibernian Society. Alfred was employed by the Railway Department, working for the organisation for over 50 years, while rearing a large family of at least 5 boys and as many daughters, some of whom would enter convents in Bathurst, Forbes and Dubbo. The young William Doggett was educated at the Patrician Brothers School and was a member of the senior cadets. In a heavily publicised incident, Doggett was drilling with the Bathurst senior cadets and accidentally trod on the heels of another cadet. When the order to stand easy was later given, the cadet struck him a vicious blow to the face, fracturing his nose. The aggressor was later charged by police and had to attend court. After his education, Doggett followed in his father's footsteps, working for the Railway Department as a porter at the Cowra station. Doggett successfully enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force at Bathurst in July 1916, despite having been discharged from the militia as medically unfit. After a period of training in Australia, he left Sydney on board the troop ship Ceramic on the 7th of October 1916 with a group of reinforcements for the 54th Battalion. He received further training in England and was then sent to France, joining his battalion in February 1917. In February and March 1917, the 54th Battalion was near the French village of Montauban, rotating between occupying the front line and providing working and carrying parties in the rear. On the 14th of March, as the 54th Battalion re-entered the front line, relieving the 55th Battalion, and sending forward a number of patrols to identify enemy activity. At some point on this day, Private William Doggett was killed in action. Little is known of the manner of his death. His body was recovered from the battlefield and he was buried nearby by Reverend Gare, who was attached to the 54th Battalion. After the war, his grave was exhumed and today lies in the Boncourt British Cemetery near Bapaume, under the epitaph requested by his mother, "In loving memory, R.I.P." Private William Bede Doggett was 22 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour to my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private William Bede Doggett, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or in the low scrub of Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening.